You can also now watch Packard Pokes At on Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv and, as always, on youtube.com/Packard Pokes At. Come to the live show and chat with us on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. See you there!
Do you really like Packard Pokes At and want to promote the show? Then go to cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At. There are hundreds of items available, including hats, shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Every purchase from cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At helps support the show. Your Packard Pokes At coffee mug is waiting for you.
Do you want to stream Packard Pokes At on your iPhone or BlackBerry? Download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
You're on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokes At, and I'm poking at your news.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fun edition of Packard Pokes At. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me tonight from the far East Coast is Joe Unseen.
Yippee!
I was going to say that.
Oh, shit. I stole it from you.
And joining us from the far West Coast is Connie Practical Magic 9.
All hailing frequencies are open, Captain.
Oh, that's good, because we're going to need them tonight. And joining us from down in Illinois land is Nick Green from Coast to Coast.
It's okay now. I'm here.
That's right. We have a great show for you tonight, so let's all sit back, kick back, and have a little bit of fun. All right, let's get on to our first topic for this evening.
Building a better future, science and technology.
Do you like Oreos? Do you like cocaine? Well, if you're on Oreos, you're a far worse shape than you are if you're on cocaine. There is a new study that says that heart-addicted drugs are a lot easier on the body than Oreos. They gave lab rats Oreos, and they'd eat only just the Oreos. It activated the neurons in the pleasure center of the brains of the rats. They would put them through tests, like they would, put them in a maze or whatever, and they would make sure to see what they would do after they've eaten the Oreos. And they would act even weirder than, if you'd ever seen someone like all high and stuff. So it's really interesting, the fact that Oreos are now considered to be worse than cocaine. Now, they said one of the things is reason why that Oreos are worse than cocaine, because it's high fat and high sugar that's in there, and because it's so easily accessed by everybody that it makes it actually worse. And, they're rock bottom cheap. I always like to cut my Oreos, put them, separate it out, and then, scrape out the filling. And of course, that's apparently how the rats eat it, too. They break it apart and they eat the rats.
Eat them like a rat does.
Yeah, that's right. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, we need to move on this and get Oreos on the Schedule 1 controlled substance list right away.
Uh-huh.
Because lives are being ruined by row after row of cream-filled cookie. But, yeah, this study was pretty hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they had rats in a maze, and they were injecting them with cocaine and heroin. And I'm just like, I can just imagine a whole bunch of rats bumping into each other, all strung out, like, hey, man, I smell Oreo. I think that's an Oreo. Fuck! It's a rice cake. But, yeah.
Oh yeah,
it's very interesting that even rats pick apart the cookie and eat the cream first.
Yeah, that's how they do it in the commercial. You ever see it? It's like, oh, how do you eat it? Oh, I eat it, tear it apart, and then I do this, and then and that's exactly how the mice do it too. It's like, wow.
Clearly, these rats didn't have access to a glass of milk, because that's the proper way to eat an Oreo.
Some people, I like to dunk mine. I take a little bit at a time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The cream filling keeps it together.
That's right. Well, it's the glue. It's
and it looks proof glue that keeps the cookie from falling apart.
You know those kids who used to eat paste when they were growing up? That's This is their paste. This is the paste. Connie, your thoughts?
all I can see are little rats in the maze, forming little gangs. That's how the doctors knew that they were really in trouble, shaking them down. We got Oreos.
I got some Oreos over here. Come on.
But in the meeting, Packard, you're like, why do they use rats? And I asked myself, why do they use rats?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And there's a lot of reasons, because they reproduce quickly. Within 3 years, you have a new generation.
Oh, okay.
But I looked at a site and it said,
or they should use as Republicans. Rats and Republicans.
Well, there you go. I think it's cheaper to pay off the rats than it is the GOP.
Oh, this is true. They
no,
want
but,
they want cookies
they're
and
used
milk.
They're used as models in medical testing because their genetic and biological behavior characteristics closely resemble those of humans.
Yes.
And many symptoms of
I think
conditions.
I think that's another reason why they don't use Republicans, because they bear no resemblance to human life.
That's right. That's exactly right. Oh, goodness.
I'm sorry. I had a little
No, that's
political,
okay. I
little
was like,
political
gosh, I thought we
commentary
were
in there.
GOP in here somehow.
Yeah.
This story begs for it.
It does. It really does. You have anything else you want to add to that?
I loved Hydrox, actually, rather than Oreos. They don't make those anymore.
Hydrox?
And I like the cookie part.
You know why? It's because they weren't addictive enough. And then if you've ever gone out to buy Oreos, they've got the ones that they double stuff. And then they had the triple stuff. It was like, we want.
Pretty soon it's just stuff.
Yes. They
the
want to
stuff
push
on the outside and a cookie in the middle.
Yes.
Just a bag of mush.
Yeah. Nick.
That explains why your toddlers get all strung out when you feed them these things, huh? They're actually,
Yeah, that's probably the reason why. Nick, your thoughts?
When I first heard about this, the first thing that came to mind was if this is true, then I know now that I can safely do drugs and walk away, because I'm not a big fan of Oreos. So I'm going to run right out, buy me some crack. But if they did the same study and found the same effect with burritos, I'd be screwed. So I'm going to wait till they try that.
Well, we had another story we were talking about doing. As long as that burrito doesn't have bacon in it, that's a whole other story. I'll send you the story on that one. It's a funny story too. But anyway, did you have any other thoughts on that, by the way?
When I was reading it, it said it said the study supports evidence that high fat and high sugar foods are addictive. Mm-hmm. Did we just figure this out?
Yeah.
No, because
it took us 400 pounds, each person nationwide. I wonder why we're getting fat. All those Oreos, hey.
Yeah, and did the rats build a tolerance to the cocaine, and maybe just not such a tolerance to the cookies?
Oh, that's a possibility.
Can you get an Oreo tolerance?
I don't know. That's a good question. Because
you can get a drug tolerance.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I suppose. The more you eat, you get more you have more tolerance built up to it. With Oreos, I don't know if they had that instance. It doesn't say here for sure, but
I mean, they don't live too long, but I would think that would accelerate. How fast they could get a tolerance. I don't know. Yeah. And also, I find it funny that the rats eat the Oreos the same way I do, eating the middle part first, eating the crack first.
That's right. What the hell is these brown things on the ends? Just give me the cream. Fuck that. Just throw those away.
That's the spoon you're supposed to cook it on.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong. Now I need new spoons. Okay. Anybody have any last thoughts on this? No? All right. We'll get on to our next. All right. Let's get on to our next topic for this evening. If I can find the right button here.
What's this button do?
Yeah. Let's try this one.
What's that button?
Actually, tonight we're going to be talking about games and gaming systems. If you're thinking about getting the newest PS4 when it comes out, you may want to think twice about that. Foxconn, which is a big company over in Taiwan, they build a lot of electronic devices you may have even in your home. iPhone is one of them, Kindles and things like that. And they also did the Xbox, as far as I remember. They've also worked with other industries out there that also do technology, and the Taiwanese manufacturer in this case that's putting out the PS4s, what they would do is they would get engineering students to come and work for them. And you think, well, what's wrong with that? Well, they would tell them that they had to do this for a school credit. And if they didn't show up and that they didn't get involved in it in any way, shape, or form, you didn't pass. Period. And what's worse is it didn't have anything to do with what they were studying. They would bring them in and they would have them gluing parts together. What the hell does that have to do with engineering? Absolutely nothing. Anybody can, after a few minutes of training, okay, attach, glue, stick together, move on. And this is on assembly line work. And Foxconn is saying that they're looking into the situation. Yeah, right. Like they're really going to do that. But the fact is that they're doing this. So if you're thinking about getting a PS4 when it comes out, think of all these workers and students over there who are trying to get through their education and being forced labor. It's slavery, and they're not getting paid for this, as far as I understand this, unless I misread this. And personally, I don't think anybody should have any more to do with this company. I mean, I know we want our electronics cheap and everything, but at what expense? Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, slavery is not a game, Packard.
It's not? You mean I don't have that slave game? Oh, shit.
You said we were going to talk about games. Yeah, these people, not only are they being forced to assemble PlayStation 4s, they're being given overtime and night shifts to try and meet the projected demand for PlayStations at Christmas time.
Yep.
So Foxconn said that the students are being given a fair wage, but this is supposed to be an internship for professional degrees. So
interns generally don't get paid.
Right. Yeah. So
That's fair.
why are they gluing Christmas toys together? Mm-hmm. Even Santa Claus treats his elves better than this.
Oh shit! Yeah, I've seen his shop. Hey,
yeah, he has
reindeer
human rights people in there all the time, and it's cool. Everything's legit up there.
That's right.
But as horrible as this is, and as quickly as it will probably stop, because Foxconn usually responds to these kind of things pretty quickly. I pre-ordered my PlayStation 4 this morning, and I can't wait to get it.
Yeah.
It's going to be so cool.
I don't think I would get one myself. I mean,
hell no!
I've never tried
Xbox One.
Oh, the Xbox One. Oh, that's a whole.
Also made at the Foxconn factory. No,
Yeah.
I don't know where that was made.
It might. It might.
It probably has some component made there.
Without a doubt, I wouldn't doubt
The
it.
Foxconn factory in China is as big as a city. There's
Yeah.
over
Oh,
100,000 workers that live there.
Connie, your thoughts?
According to the source that I found, it said that Foxconn employs over 1 million people. And this isn't the first time that this company has had problems and had violations. They always say, oh yeah, they're going to race to comply, but they've had different kinds of overworking the people, different things filed for them. Also, Foxconn is struggling with a shrinking workforce because, for the last 10, 20 years, however long they've been open, they've had this first generation of people who come in and they work in the factory, and they don't really complain, but there's high suicide rates and fighting rates. Well, evidently the young people coming up don't want to work in a factory. They want to have service industry jobs, and they want to have, internet jobs, and so they're just not interested, and so they're actually hurting for employees, and so now, they're trying to be more compliant.
Right.
But yeah, still they've got unsafe work practices going there, evidently, lots of violations.
Yeah.
And as for the companies that I found, the 4 companies I saw named in an article were Apple, Nintendo, Sony, and Hewlett Packard.
Oh, okay.
All get components made through there. So I don't know. Microsoft wasn't in that mix, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's okay to get an Xbox One when it comes out.
Right. They're
Yeah,
made in
that's just
sweatshops in
just
another
poor
country.
Mexican
It's fine.
children being
Yeah, their sweatshops
slave
are
labor
so,
down there. So that's
Yeah, their sweatshops are run completely different.
in India or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I think it's such a sham for them to say, oh yeah, this is an internship. They're supposed to be learning
Right.
something about engineering, and instead they weren't getting paid either, by the way. They say they're getting paid, but I think it's more of compensation. You're getting on-the-job training kind of a thing. So there were people who in the factory who were getting paid, and these guys weren't.
Yeah.
Total sham.
It is a total sham. Mm-hmm. Nick, your thoughts?
I don't care. I'm still getting a PS4.
Are you still
PS4.
off the back of those poor interns?
I want to be Joe's best friend on the PlayStation Network. If we're the only gamers out there, that's fine. Games are easier that way. I thought this was pretty interesting. I actually this was the one that I kept looking up the most stuff on, just because I find Foxconn insane. Mm-hmm. But I mean, you guys pretty much said it. It's basically like slavery, and the internship doesn't make any sense. You know, I mean, the only reason why I could see this helping, like someone who's going to do some kind of internet job or some kind of engineering job, but they're sitting there gluing parts together, is to remind them why they're going to go get a better job.
Yeah.
But
if you're doing that for months on end, that's
right. No, I mean the whole thing is crap.
It is.
And, but I'm still going to get a PS4. Sorry. What's really interesting about that place is it's like a whole world. They have. You know what you should do?
You know what you should do, Nick? Say, hey, don't send me the ones put together. Just send me the parts. I'll glue it together to myself. This way, we don't have. There won't be that way. There won't be any issue with an intern gluing this stuff together for me.
I could look into that. I'll let you know how that goes. One thing I found interesting, I looked up some stuff on Foxconn, and they have they have a whole community there. They have shopping centers. They have the Cyber Fox Cafe where they can watch videos, play games, and they also have an Xbox gaming center, which I thought was kind of ironic.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's going to be the PS4 gaming center now.
They've also been known for suicides and stuff like that in the last year. Yeah, there's always these stories where you open up something and you get that's coming over from China or whatever. So you'll find a note in there that says, "I've been trapped in this plant doing this work. Help me." So if you open up your PS4 when you get it and you find a note inside,
I'll rescue them. I'll go. I'm on it.
It's actually happened though. Like they've opened up packages and found notes from the workers. Like it's horrible here.
Yes, it is.
That is really horrible.
Yeah, I haven't found one yet, but
Dawkins' dog said something hilarious in the chat room. He said it's disgusting making children make PS4s. Who's going to make my running shoes?
Yeah.
Well, they stopped making running shoes because they were using them to escape.
Yeah. Coach Jesse, he says that you'd accidentally glue your phone inside of it. So
shut up, Jesse. Shut up. Shut up. That's my thoughts.
There you go. All right.
Sorry.
That's okay. Anybody else have any last thoughts on this? No? All right. Let's get on to our next topic for this evening. If you're out there and you live in Louisiana and you just happen to be at Walmart and you have an EBT and you're on food stamps, basically, it's electronic benefits transfer. It's also known as a SNAP program. It's a Xerox, which hosts some of the infrastructure that's used by the EBT card system. There was some kind of power outage, and everybody who had one of these cards, they're set by the government for a certain amount, like say $100, $200, or sometimes $10, depending on your current situation. These cards, for a short time, were unlimited. So you could buy pretty much almost all the food or whatever that's out there available to you to buy. So the people were literally stocking up with all kinds of stuff. And when they were going to the register, the people were going, why is the people bringing all this stuff in here? What should we do about this? And they caught a hold of the company head and they said, honor it. If these people are buying food with all this, honor it. So this way they could take advantage of getting all this food. Now, when people are out there and they're hungry and they have this opportunity, some people are going to take advantage of that. I don't see a problem with it myself. There was a person that was interviewed down there and said, what did you think about it? They was like, oh, that's just plain theft. It's just stealing. Usually the people who say that are the ones that go, crap, I wish I'd gotten in on that. In all honesty, I don't think it's stealing. It will be honored. And they are going to be honored. So it's not. I don't think they're going to. I don't think it's stealing at all. It is being paid for, and as we all pay for all that eventually. If the way the Republicans in office would stop fucking with people that are down and out like this, then stuff like this most likely wouldn't happen. Joe, your thoughts?
Woohoo! We don't have to get Greek value everything, and we get real stuff. Hello, Dr. Pepper. Goodbye, Dr. Thunder. Yeah, as you said, a lot of people got upset about this, and they called it theft or shoplifting. I saw a lot of people talking about it on Facebook, complaining about it. These people were paying at the registers with their cards. Once the cards stopped working, they stopped shopping. So I don't think it was really theft. It wasn't really shoplifting. The cards suddenly had no limit, and these people, they don't have a great amount of means.
Right.
They're on assistance for a reason. Also, as you mentioned, Walmart said go ahead and honor the sales. So it really was, Walmart could have just shut it down.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't.
Yeah, they could have said, just stop it. Don't accept any more SNAP programs. You get one person in there with a SNAP program to these cards, say limited.
They could have said no EBT sales today, come back tomorrow.
Right. Or later.
Right. So a bunch of people in 2 Walmarts, this only happened in 2 Walmarts, go on a fill your shopping cart binge. Mm-hmm. Big deal. This isn't the national debt busting, everything that's wrong with America travesty that some people have played it up to be.
Oh, yeah.
The people who receive these benefits, they're the elderly, the disabled, single parents with children. Mm-hmm. These are the people who need food, not leeches to society.
Right. The news station, KSLA, said it was simply human to stock up when given the opportunity to.
Right.
And I completely agree with that. If you have the opportunity, you're going to take it. Mm-hmm. Connie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I looked up the population in these 2 small towns. It was Mansfield, Louisiana, and Spring Hill. Mm-hmm. Both towns, they used to have industry, and, for example, Spring Hill used to be a lumber town, and the mill got shut down when Georgia Pacific took it over. They have fairly small populations, but fully a third of each city's population is on EBT, is on some kind of public assistance.
Yeah, usually the southern states, I may be wrong about this, but mostly the southern states like that, they're heavily Christian, and they're generally heavily poverty. They have the highest level of poverty in those areas.
Yeah, Louisiana, one statistic said that 380,000 households in Louisiana receive benefits to help with groceries. And in September, I think it was 2012, 866,000 people benefited from specifically EBT. To me, there is something in place that I guess if the EBT goes down, there's supposed to be a $50 limit on purchases. But then again, these days, $50 really doesn't buy a whole lot.
No, it doesn't.
When you have a box of cereal is $4, it's and then you have a family to feed, and there were so many states involved in this. I don't have the whole list here, but for just 2 cities in one very, very impoverished state in our country to have had this happen in. Mm-hmm. And like you said, once the cards said no more, and once it came back up, everything was fine. Everybody stopped. Mm-hmm. And so I wouldn't steal. I don't think I would do that myself, but I think I understand the desperation.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
Especially if you're in that situation, you're going to be pretty desperate to make sure you have access to food to feed your family. Some of these people who are lucky enough, I consider them lucky in this case, to have access to this, that they're going to have enough to hopefully get them through the rest of the month, or maybe a couple of months, if they've shopped properly, and if they got stuff that's going to have a good shelf life to it.
Yeah.
A lot of these people think they're going to take this food and they're going to sell it on the street, like they're going to sell it in a raincoat. Hey, you want some canned beans?
I have a porter steak.
I got a little porter steak here. You want some porter steak? Yeah, that doesn't happen. These people are using these so they make sure that they have something to eat.
Well, they're desperate people, and they're desperate because there's things that are really broken in our system: education and job creation. And actual good, things like healthcare, things that should be, I think that should be a given.
Oh yeah.
And so necessities of life, everybody needs them.
Yes.
Oh, and I will say that the comment section was atrocious. Everybody was going off on how awful this was, but the worst part was, none of you guys can spell. You are illiterate.
Yeah. That's about it. So
illiterate, hateful people, and get a life,
Yes, yeah, and like I said, it's always those people. The haters are usually the ones that I would have taken advantage of that if I would have had that chance too. But I'm gonna rant against it, because I didn't get that opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
Nick, your thoughts?
I just want to go on record as saying this is not going to stop me from getting a PS4. I don't care what you say. Are
you going to get it with your EBT? No, I'm just kidding. You going to get it with the EBT?
I also wonder how fast did the Oreos run out? And evidently all the rice patties were left behind.
Oh, those rice cakes, yeah. Who wants those things?
My thoughts are I'm totally jealous. I would definitely would love to have taken advantage of it. I wonder, like, the shopping carts were so full. I don't have that much room in my fridge. So where were they planning on putting? Were they just going to have a huge cookout when they got home? Or?
I don't know. That's a good question. Maybe they got, they could
Well,
have.
they have freezers in aisle 7.
Yeah.
So.
Or they've got friends that have freezers that need food. And they probably would say, or they could have taken some of it and said, hey, I got way too much and gone to the nearest food shelter and given some back to that, too. That's always a possibility, too. We don't know what they did with it.
I do like that they called Walmart headquarters, or the employees of Walmart called the headquarters to find out what to do about this. And they said, go ahead and keep the registers ringing. And, well, of course they're going to say that. I mean,
yeah, we were saying that, too.
I mean, it's not any money out of Walmart's pocket.
Right. Exactly.
Although they're going to have to pay a lot of overtime now for putting the leftover carts back.
Yeah.
The footage that I saw some footage on there of everybody once the free goodness stopped, everybody just left their carts where they were and took off.
Right.
Oh yeah, that would really suck. I was like, where the hell does all this shit go? I was like, aisle 4,
I'd be going home sick and be like, oh, I can't.
If you've ever been to any store, they're constantly filling shelves anyway, so a lot of it, they probably just brought in extra people to put all that stuff away, too. So,
or they just put signs on the carts.
Yeah, say, cart 1 get put away, whatever, yeah. These situations happen. It's a glitch. And
it was supposed to be due to a power outage during routine maintenance on the system, on the EBT card system, and I guess they had a power outage, and it glitched, and what was it, just for like 2-3 hours?
It was just for a couple hours from what it looks like, yeah.
So that's long enough.
Yep.
Evidently.
Yep. It makes me wonder, though, because these things are electronically tracked, are they going to go after these people who had access to this unlimited spending and say, hey, you overspent for
I kind of wondered that, too. I'd be worried about that myself if that did happen. I'd be like, watch, I'm going to get a bill.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. They're good for that. The government's good for that. I would get unemployment, and I was over like $5. And they hounded me for a fucking year for $5.
Well, here in Illinois, our system's called Link, and it's basically the same thing. And I've heard that if they discover somehow that you shouldn't have been getting it, that they ask for the money back.
Oh, yeah.
Like, geez, what if you honestly thought you were supposed to be getting it, and then they're like, hey, you make too much or something. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, pay us our $600 in groceries you bought over the last few months. I mean, it's pretty bogus. But I could see that. I wondered that. Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to watch this story, see if they update it and find out what happened to these people. I mean, hopefully they don't make them pay up on this. But
that'd be insane.
It would be insane. Yeah. Who knows how much? We're talking thousands and probably thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars in groceries overall.
Yeah, so, those carts were very full. Mm-hmm. Those were just the ones that were left behind.
Yeah, I can imagine what the ones that the other people who got away, before it all got straightened out. But anyway, all right, well, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. Tonight, we're going to be talking about more Halloween myths and predictions and superstitions. Now, I'm going to give you a couple here, and then we're going to talk about the rest of them here. One of them is if no one speaks at the table during Halloween dinner or dinner during Halloween, the spirits will come to the table. Well, that's why you always set out the extra plate, I think. You always have to have an extra plate just in case the guests show up, and then in Halloween it's going to be a spirit. Of course, they don't eat much, and then they always end up leaving the table total mess. And another one is if you're a single woman and you put rosemary under your pillow on Halloween night, you'll dream of your future husband. Well, what about the guys? What are they supposed to put on there? Maybe they got to put a condom underneath their pillow, and then they could dream of their future wife.
Or husband.
Or husband, yeah. Then they would have to use the rosemary, I think, in that case. But We're going to start the timer up here, and the timer is right there. It is, and we're going to start the timer now. We're going to start with you, Nick, and this timer starts now. Nick, what are your thoughts on these Halloween myths and predictions and superstitions?
Oh boy, I think they all sound fun. I would actually do things on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
I would, I'd sit at the table by myself just to make sure no one talked.
Mm-hmm.
And but the one I found kind of interesting was the apple peel one.
Oh yeah.
Where you peel the apple, and however long the peel is determines how long you're going to live.
Right.
And, so people, I mean, did they really believe this? Because these just kind of sound like fun games, like pin the tail on the donkey. Crap that you do, like bobbing for apples is a game.
Oh yeah, they would do that during. What they should do is, you have to, after you bob, you have to bob for the apple first, and then you peel it. Now, although there used to be this device you could buy a number of years ago where you'd put down an apple or a potato or whatever, and it had a little sharp knife on it, and it would peel it for you. So you get this really long peel. So I guess if you really wanted to, you put one of these things on there, do it on Halloween night. This way you get a really long peel. It doesn't say that you have to do it by hand. You just have to have a really long peel. So. Right.
So whoever figures it out gets to live the longest.
Right.
What about like if we start kind of combining these? Like you got the one where a single woman can put the rosemary under her pillow, find out who her husband's going to be. How about bobbing for single women? I don't want to peel them.
Women hate getting peeled like that.
Yeah, I found that out. It's a really bad first date.
Yeah.
It didn't put the lotion on its skin. It was a mess.
Oh, that's terrible.
Put the lotion in the fucking basket.
Connie, your thoughts?
Oh, this is my favorite holiday. I love Halloween, or Samhain, as it's called. And it's really funny because there's so many different ways to try and predict the future, from tarot, astrology, tea leaves, palmistry, numerology, I Ching, runes, and Ouija board. Even a couple things that I didn't even know about. Aeromancy, which is casting of dirt or sand into the wind and looking where it goes. But
well, that would be hard to do in the desert.
But there's one specifically from Celtic. It's baking something called barm brack, and all barm means is yeast, and brack means bread. I love you, brack. And you actually hide little tokens in the bread, and
really?
Depending on what you find, it predicts your future. If you find a pea or a thimble, and it'll be another year of spinsterhood, because again, the only people who really care about this is women, I guess. If you find a cloth snippet, that symbolizes rags, which means poverty or bad luck in the year ahead. A gold ring obviously means, you'll expect to be married.
Unless you eat it first.
And then finding a stick is a portent of a bad marriage. In other words, a stick with which to beat your wife.
So that's nice.
I think it's a bad luck just to find the stick. Are you going to bite down? Get stuck in your
I got
throat.
a stick. I'm going to look around for the person who got the ring. I'm going to steal it from them before they get it.
That, or if the woman is a really, really bad cook, she just, I don't know.
If you're finding sticks in your food, they're a really bad cook.
Yeah. Exactly.
I don't care if it's a man or a woman. If there's sticks and twigs and things in your food, you get up and you leave. There was one. Just going back to the apple peel thing here for just a moment. They said it says here if you want to know the first letter of your future spouse, after you carve an apple into the long strip, toss it over your shoulder. It doesn't say which shoulder. I guess it doesn't matter which one.
Left shoulder.
Left shoulder. Oh, your left shoulder. Okay. And turn around, and the peel will land in the shape of the first letter of your future spouse. I'm guessing it's going to be O, but
it can spell out the first letter, or it can actually spell out their name. And I tried this morning. I peeled an apple, and I threw the peel.
And it said Packard?
It said Pakurd. I'm like, who the hell is Packard?
I knew you were going to go there, Joe. I just had it.
But yeah, that was actually, everybody's talked about that one. That was the one that interested me, so I actually looked it up. And apples are considered a harvest festival of fruit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it comes at that time of the year. It's often associated with Halloween. Bobbing for apples that Nick brought up, that's a Halloween tradition.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned putting rosemary under the pillow, and you would dream about your sweetheart. People used to also put apples under their pillow for the same reason. So an apple is definitely very closely related to Halloween. It's just as closely related traditionally to Halloween as pumpkins are.
Right.
And I never realized that before. I never actually put two and two together. I mean, I went apple picking in New York here just last weekend. I was walking through the orchard, picking the apples right off the trees. They say, please don't eat them. You have to pay for them. And I must have eaten like 10 of them before I walked out of there. They're so good when they come right off the tree.
Oh, yeah.
And
stolen fruit, right? It's
Yeah,
better.
stolen fruit's the best fruit. You know, you might as well change your name to Adam at that point. I'm just kidding.
I had a friend, I was talking to him about apple picking. He said, you know what the best thing to do in an orchard is you go inside the tree and you find the biggest, plumpest, prettiest apple that's right there. It'll entice anyone to pick it, and you bite the far side of it without pulling it off the tree. So when the person goes to grab the apple and pick it, they get their finger in your mouth hole. And I'm like, you actually thought of that, dude?
Oh God.
That guy was lonely. One of the things was here, real quick, we got about 40 seconds here. It says a single woman get in front of a mirror in a darkened room and stare at it. You can see the face of your future husband, but if it says their destiny is they're gonna die before they get married, a skull appear in the mirror. That's if you're seeing skulls in the mirror, you got that flashlight in front of you going, ooh. So.
What if your future husband's Joe? You can't see him.
Yeah, he is unseen. It's some of these things on these superstitions are just bizarre.
It's like they were all made up by teenage girls too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
it does
it's
seem like
a
that.
sleepover.
Yeah,
So the goth girl is
Halloween
an
sleepover
old
games.
trope, right?
Oh, and that's our time. So yeah, if there's a lot of weird superstitions and predictions of what your future spouse or whatever is going to be out there. These are just for fun. I take no reality in any of this stuff. You want to try it, you go right ahead. But I can't guarantee any of it's going to work because it's like all superstitions. They're all just, I think they're all bunk, but hey, there's a kernel of some truth somewhere. It's just like the Halloween and the spirit. So you come to the table. I think this thing there with that one, someone came to the table. It was you. So.
Oh.
But anyway, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. Our funny tweet tonight comes from Uncle Duke 1969, and he says, they say that Oreos are addictive as cocaine. I'm calling bullshit. I've never blown a strip club bouncer for a... Never mind.
I did do that for an Oreo.
Joe, your thoughts?
Actually, I did it for a Klondike bar.
You did it for a Klondike bar? I hate those things. I tried those things. Those things are nasty. Joe, your thoughts?
Why go for the strip club bouncer? I mean, if you got a whole bunch of cocaine or Oreos,
Yeah. Hey, buddy.
that's in with
Oreo.
in with the talent.
Hey, let me go see this stripper. I got Oreos.
You know what's interesting though is if you blow the cocaine first, you'll have no interest in the Oreos.
Connie, your thoughts?
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to add.
I plead the fifth.
Okay.
I don't know.
Nick, did you have any thoughts on this?
Yeah, I love that it's Uncle 69.
1969. It's Uncle
First thing
Duke,
I think.
1969. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I did that for a Klondike bar. I don't even like Klondike bars.
So you're saying you did it just for the other reason? You didn't want the Klondike bar at all?
I did it because I was on a high dose of Oreos.
I hate it when that happens. You eat too many Oreos, you just don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore.
You end up blowing some guy.
Wandering around behind the little animals later on.
All tonight.
Yes. Okay, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. Our shout out tonight comes from Connie, and Connie's shout out is for Riverpool. That's Riverpool. Connie, can you tell us a little bit about Riverpool?
Riverpool is a band here in the Pacific Northwest. They are go all the way from like the Seattle area down to Portland on the I-5 corridor. They're a progressive alternative rock band, and their lead singer is Carrie Thomas. Then there's Justin Ankenman, Mike on lead guitar, Mike Arnett's on the on the drums, and Ian Wings, I believe he's the bassist. They had their first album came out in 2008, self-titled Riverpool. Their next Midnight Sun came out last year in 2012, and on November 9th, their third album will be coming out, Just a Dream. They're found on Reverb Nation and Rhapsody Music. You can buy their albums online, and I really love them. If you had to compare them to a couple of bands, they say their influences are Depeche Mode, Alice in Chains, and Tool. And one of their big songs that I love it, is Come and Gone, and then there's Rabbit Hole and I Feel the Rain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just a really good band. They write all their own music, and they work really hard.
Okay. If you're on Twitter, give Riverpool a follow. That's Riverpool. And tell them you heard them on the show. All right, let's get into our next topic for this evening. And tonight's special guest is Nick from Coast to Coast. Nick, hello. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm good.
Good.
I got my Oreos here.
I was thinking about getting some Oreos for the show and just randomly open them up during the show. But, you know, I have to keep my mouth clear so I can actually do the show.
Beard.
Yeah. Be all over my beard and everything.
Cracked out by the end of the show. You'd be like,
I gotta get some more Oreos, man. Gotta get some more Oreos.
the self-limit's still open. Let's go.
I have a quick question here. For the name for the show, the Coast to Coast, why didn't you just name the show Bible Answers? I mean, for the channel. I mean, because that's what you're known. You guys are known for, is the Bible Answers, which is awesomely funny. If you guys out there have not checked out Bible Answers out on YouTube, there, you guys are missing out on some great laughs and some good information. But where did you guys come up with the name Coast to Coast?
Well, the name comes before YouTube, and I was messing around with some editing equipment, and just wanted to put a label on a quick movie that me and my cousin Jesse had made, and we always called each other Cosin from Balky from Perfect Strangers, if you know what that is.
I know Perfect Strangers. I'm dating myself here a little bit, but I know Perfect Strangers, yes.
Yeah, I know most people don't have a clue what I'm talking about. You know, we'd always be like, hey, Cosin. And so I just, since we did videos together, I just put Coast to Coast. And then I only started YouTube just to put the first episode of Bible Answers up, which at the time was not considered an episode. It was just a standalone video. It was just another one of our small projects that we slapped together. And somebody kept suggesting, put it on MySpace, put it on YouTube, put it on YouTube. I'm like, fine. You know, I didn't really know much about YouTube when we first did that. And in fact, the first thing I heard about YouTube was some dude was telling me that you could see 14-year-old girls dancing in their panties, so I avoided it for a while.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I would probably have avoided that at that point, too, if I had heard that. But I have another quick question. Were you ever religious? And if you were, how did you come to your non-belief?
I grew up in a Christian household. I mean, it wasn't like crack the whip type. But we went to church here and there. But I grew up genuinely believing in it. I remember having these records of Bible stories, and you know, it was like a guy and his puppet, and they would, you know, they'd be like, it's story time, yay, and tell these fucking Bible stories, and then So, well, anyway, I grew up believing that, and when I was a teenager, I still believed in it. I looked into it, wanted to know more about it because I realized all I knew was the Bible stories, like the stories that kids get told. And I think around when I was 19, it was what really pulled me away from it was the story of Noah's Ark, was kind of the starting snowball.
It's usually a good place for anybody that wants to come out of religion. Just look into the Noah story. And if you can see the flaws in that, you're gonna start going, what else is wrong with this goddamn book?
And I even told myself, I was like, okay, well, I believe in this. I believe Jesus died for my sins and all this, but I'm just gonna go ahead and think that these outlandish stories are just lore that they told people back then, just stories. And it just kind of occurred to me a little while later that, well, if I'm willing to pass these off as obviously not real, then what makes any of it real? And then it was just kind of kept going from there.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to, once you start reading it and you start figuring that these stories are not anything of reality, then you go, well, the rest of it's must be crap too.
And I still didn't know much about the Bible, but by the time I came across all the crazy shit that's in there, like, kill your kid because he did this, or kill a gay person, or women have to marry their rapists. By the time I came across that crap, I was already an atheist. I just thought it was gold.
Yeah.
When I struck that, oh my God.
Yeah, the marry your rapist thing. I mean, why more women aren't atheists after they read that? Say, you have to marry your rapist? Fuck that. I'm not getting part of this shit. Fuck that noise, but.
Right.
But anyway, my next question is, what videos out there inspire you? Or is there any video out there on YouTube or channel that you've seen out there besides, Packard Pokes At that that really inspires you?
To do what we do now? Mm-hmm. I think, nothing inspired Bible Answers because that was before I even, heard of YouTube. Mm-hmm. Well, I heard of it. But for like our drinking show, our video podcast type show, I think Paul Torval's News Undies kind of inspired that. Although they're extremely different shows, just the fact that he does something he really likes week after week, I wanted to do that. I was like, man, I don't want to keep doing scripted stuff. Like, I want to just be able to point a camera at me and just, say and do what we want. And
yeah, that's what we do here on the show.
Yeah, and Jesse just pointed out in the chat room that Non-Stamp Collector rocks, and he does.
Oh, yeah, I like Non-Stamp Collector, yeah.
Yeah, but he didn't. There was no inspiration for, like the other stuff.
Okay. Another quick question here is, how do you go about producing your videos, and how do you edit the videotape? Do you put it all into a computer? Do you record directly to a computer, or do you just throw it onto a VHS or a video recorder of some sort, and then throw it in the computer?
Well, we've gone through several different formats. Right now, it's on an HD camera, and it records directly to an SD card. And then I just it's like a 32 gigabyte SD card, so it's pretty good for, we wouldn't film more than 32 gigabytes in a day. So then I just transfer that to the computer. I do all the editing myself at home on my computer. I use Avid Studio, and that works pretty well.
Okay.
But for the first season of Bible Answers, we actually used a real VHS camcorder from the 80s with a VHS tape, and then
I used to have one of those.
yeah, just to give it that real shitty public access look, and then used a VCR and a little piece of hardware to transfer that to the hard drive, and then went from there. And that actually took up more memory than than using stuff that records directly to hard drive. I don't know why. It took up a shitload of memory.
Well, analog, when analog captures, it captures everything. It's not filtering out everything, so that could be a reason why. Because when you're going to digital, it filters out a lot of that extra stuff, and it's compressing it as it's recording. So that could be a reason why.
Yeah, and I still have. Well, I've got some external hard drives. I still have all the footage from the first season, well, from all the seasons, but I don't have the VHS tapes anymore. We finally just destroyed those.
Oh.
Time to get rid of you. Watching those.
Yeah, it would have been fun to see the outtakes on stuff like that.
Yeah, I do have all that. It's all
good.
saved. It's all saved on a hard drive. It's just the physical VHS copies are gone.
Yeah, one thing with hard drives, they don't last forever. So I hope you have multiple copies somewhere.
I do. I do. I keep backing up.
Okay, that's always good. What is one of the best videos you've seen on another channel on YouTube? Do you watch other channels on YouTube at all? I mean, besides Paul Torville and Packard Pokes At.
I do. I mean, I don't watch like a whole lot. I think Jesse kind of hit it when he said non-stamp collector. As far as related to what we do, and being like an entertainment style show, probably him. I mean, some of the, as far as like production value near ours. Now, I mean, the Mortal Kombat legacy is pretty cool, but they look like they've got a lot of money. So,
okay, what do you do outside in the real world, away from your YouTube persona? You don't have to give the name of the company or anything like that. Just
I play Grand Theft Auto 5.
That's my job. Play out Grand Theft Auto 5, kill people and run them down.
Oh, it's wonderful.
My crew's been robbing a lot of banks. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's been going straight into my bank account. It's in the game. I quit my job like weeks ago. No, I work at an electronics factory. We make transformers and just little all kinds of different, anything that has to do with wire and electronics.
Those kind of transformers. I thought you were like robots and just never mind. You're talking about those kind of.
It's called Skynet. You may have heard of it.
I've heard of Skynet. Yes.
Yeah, we're planning something big.
Foxconn America, right?
It's gonna be the next big thing.
I certainly hope so. But I'm gonna turn the questions over to our peanut gallery here, also known as our co-host. Joe, do you have any questions for Nick?
Yeah, Nick, I'm a huge fan of Bible Answers. I love that show. You guys are awesome. I also love the Muppets. Tell me about your puppet that you introduced in season 3 for the Touching Children segment.
Oh, that's a good
Did
question.
you make it? Did you buy it? How did you come up with that whole segment?
Well, the puppet was actually made by Jesse. He made the puppet. The segment itself was supposed to be just a way to have Pastor Green back on the show, and it was originally just going to be like a 2-3 time thing. Mm-hmm. But once I saw that first episode, I was like, "Oh hell no! This has got to be like a regular part of the show." And and plus, it's a great way to, because there's some topics in the Bible that just I could not really figure out a great way to make a call. Mm-hmm. People tell me all the time, like, "Oh, you should talk about this in the Bible." I'm like, "There's no feasible way that I could make that into a call." But when you have like the setting in the Touching Children show, it all of a sudden anything goes. It no longer has to be a realistic conversation between people. It can just be some bullshit that was written by obviously Christian producers. They're like, "Oh, I sure wish I could go for a Bible story." And like, who the fuck says that? And then, I got a Bible story for you. And just goes right into it.
Joe, before you get your next question, I have another quick question. Whatever happened to the guy with the little short guy, the blonde hair and the glasses, and he was going to come in and he was going to kick Jesse out. Well, not Jesse, but he was going to kick John out from the church there. And he.
Well, you'd be talking about Adam.
That's right. Adam
was the character in season 2.
Yeah.
Just a little backlash on Adam. Adam was something that we had thought of. Well, we didn't know the name. We wanted a second Christian. And we thought of this even in season 1, but I was like, I don't really know how to do this. It went through several incarnations. It was going to maybe be John's twin brother, and Jesse was going to play 2 people at once.
Oh, that would have been funny.
and then it the whole idea was that you only have one main Christian on the show, but but the Bible can go several different ways, depending on what passage you're talking about, or even a specific passage can go several different ways. So it's funny to have 2 Christians on bickering back and forth. They're both telling basically the truth. Like, here it says God lies. Well, here it says God doesn't lie.
Right.
But the guy who played him, and this wasn't why we ended him in season 2. He was always supposed to end in season 2. It was always supposed to go that way, but he's not in season 3 because the actor became a Christian after doing the show. Not directly after, but after he had done the show, he started showing up and wearing a cross necklace and shit. We're like, what the hell is up with this? And he just he told us he became a Christian and that he didn't have any beef with us or anything, but he said that we had a misunderstanding of the Bible.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
I love that argument. It's like, you just don't understand the Bible. I mean, wow. Even the stuff that after you showed him and say, hey, here's the problems with it. He's like, oh, you just don't understand it. What?
And I've got footage, behind the scenes stuff where he's openly, bashing it himself.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. He must have been very impressionable, or maybe had something to do with a girl.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
That happens sometimes.
I was shocked. I thought it was, it's funny. It's kind of crazy, that would happen. So I'm just hoping it doesn't happen to me.
Yeah. Joe, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had some other questions there?
You were talking a little bit about the writing process. I want to know what the writing process is like for you. Do you spend much time looking up Bible nonsense, and what inspires the types of callers that you come up with?
Well, the biggest deal breaker on whether or not we can continue to do episodes is call topics, and because obviously I'm going to run out of shit eventually.
Mm-hmm.
That's in the passages anyway.
Right.
So for the longest time after season 2, season 3 was just a joke, like we weren't going to do it, and I started working at this factory, which is boring and had a lot of time to think, and I started to think a lot and realize, oh my God, I've got enough shit to do it. So the writing process is I come across stuff. I don't actively look up things, but I can't help but come across crazy things in the Bible, especially just checking out other videos, or sometimes looking at the Skeptic's Annotated Bible online.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come across something crazy, I immediately think of, how can this be put into a call? How would John react to this? and just kind of go from there. Once I have a big enough list of call topics, I start sorting them out. And sometimes I don't know. I just know the call topic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was one that's already been covered? Like the gay bar, or the homos attacking packs, which
yeah, homosexuals attacking packs.
I came across
what?
I always knew about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, but I came across the other story, and I was like, wait, is this Sodom and Gomorrah? No, it's not. It was another story in the Bible where a group of men who wanted to have sex with men were beating down a door. And I'm like, is this really how they think homosexuals act? And I just, from there, I'm like, how can I put this into something? And I just thought about how, well, God, they think they attack in packs. That'd be hilarious if that's how John puts it. It's more funny if that's exactly how he wants, he doesn't disagree with that absurdity.
Yeah, that's what I like about John. He's like, it doesn't matter how absurd it is. Yes, we know it's absurd, but hey, it's the Bible,
Yeah.
That's the great thing about the John Matthews character is it does, yeah, like he's just like, well, it's in the Bible.
Right. And yeah, the whole idea of the show is, how funny would it be if somebody or people actually followed those rules now in today's society?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just to shine a light on how ridiculous those situations would be, if somebody actually followed that.
There was actually, this was last year, some woman actually, she tried to follow all the rules of the Bible for about a year. And she would separate herself when she had her monthly. They had a tent pitched in the backyard, and it was that time of month. She would separate herself from the family, and she'd stay in the tent for the whole time until she was clean again, as it were.
Isn't there like 230 rules, like specific behavioral rules in the Bible? Like, how could you possibly do that?
I know it's weird, but she tried to follow all of them. Like, apparently,
wow.
So like, were her clothes not stitch of?
Yeah, she had to stitch up her own. Yeah, she had to make up her. She made up her own clothing, the whole 9 yards. It was really bizarre.
She made sure not to carry two different weighted rocks in her purse or whatever the.
I hope she wrote a book about that experience.
It was on the news, so they covered it on the news. So it's just bizarre. I mean, why
Did
would
she
anybody
shut her mouth in church?
I would imagine so. She followed that First Timothy rule, But anyway, Joe.
Timothy 2:12.
Yeah, 2:12. Yeah, First Timothy 2:12. Joe, did you have any other quick questions?
Oh man, you're giving me a third question.
I'm giving you a third question.
I actually had one before, but I don't remember it right at the second.
All right, I'll tell you what. While you're thinking about it, we'll give Connie a chance to ask her questions. Connie, go ahead. What are your questions for Nick?
Where do you think you see your show in another year? Are you going to be spending next year over doing Bible Answers, and what other projects do you have?
Well, we do have a completely different show that's already scripted out and lined up, and I'm not going to give any information on it, but I mean it's right up the humor alley of Bible Answers. It's not religious based. As far as Bible Answers goes, well, of course we got the second half of season 3 coming that we're working on right now, and every time we finish the season with Bible Answers, we're like, all right, we're done. And
people go
now
like,
I'm
more,
thinking,
more. We want more.
I know, and I love doing it. I love I love the show. The main reason why season 3 exists is because I wanted to see it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a fan myself. I really enjoy the show, and but I think I was talking to Jesse about this. I was like, well, instead of flat out saying there will never be a season 4, why not just kind of switch gears? And every time I've got a decent amount of material that could be calls, maybe just put out episodes here and there when I can, instead of doing that whole promising them every Sunday thing, because that's actually really, really taxing to do that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. I do this show every week.
Yeah, well, and you're
That's
you're a
because you're
crazy person.
psychotic.
But this
He
is a
found my
great
he
show.
found my kryptonite.
I think writing. I hate writing. Out of all the processes, I still laugh when I'm writing, and I'm really making some gold. But I hate writing. It's like a love-hate thing. And,
we understand that.
So I think after this season's done, and if it's been a while down the road, and I've got enough for 3 more episodes, why not just make them? And not necessarily saying that they're going to keep coming out every Sunday, but they'll just maybe just come out when they come out.
Oh sure,
That's awesome. That takes the pressure off it, the creative pressure.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean it's still. I mean, the funny
It's
thing
gotta
is
stay
there's
fun.
still so many people that haven't discovered the show at all.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll still the 40. Well, there's 33 episodes on now, but the 40 that we have, that are going to be, that's a lot. That's a lot of hours.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
more hours in the first half of season 3 than I think it matches like season 1. Just the first half of season 3, and season 2 is like 2 hours long.
I've gone through these shows several times, just sitting there going, I got to rewatch these over and over again. Joe said in the chat room that we've quoted you guys on the show many times here on the show.
And we get together on Wednesdays and talk about the podcast, and we'll quote it to each other.
Great. Next caller.
like Packard, what about the contradictions in the Bible? He'll be like, caller, there are no contradictions in the Bible.
I think also maybe in future episodes after season 3, I've always wanted to look back at season 1 now that I've gotten a lot better, a lot funnier at making them, maybe going back, not redoing season 1, but recovering some topics that could be covered even funnier.
Mm-hmm.
There you go, yeah.
That's another idea. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Good idea.
Definitely. Joe, do you have any other questions, or did you want to turn the floor over to Connie?
Hang on, I got to answer a question.
I'm laughing.
here.
Jesse in the chat room.
Oh,
He just said, would you rather make out with John Matthews, Darren, or Pastor Green? And because it's Jesse asking, I'm going to have to say John Matthews. Because I like his sweater vest. It's so hot.
There was a question up there by Kill Bees says, where did Terry come from? Do you want me to answer that?
sure. Go ahead. You can ask that one.
Yeah, Terry Buckheimer. He originally just started out as a guy for the Lot's Daughters call,
Oh, I remember that one.
Oh, yeah.
and that was his first call. And I just was like, this guy, I want, how
How
can
can
I
I fuck
cover?
my daughters? And like, what?
How can I
What?
cover this? And I'm
I'm
like,
taking
well,
him camping.
What if a guy wants that to happen to him. So he's calling for advice on how to get this to happen. And I'm like, he's just got to sound, and I just kind of came out with the voice like, hey there, John, it's Terry Buckheimer again. And then I just was like, Terry, I don't know. I just said Terry. And then I was like, I wanted to sound something hillbilly-ish, and I put Buck in there for like deer, Buck. I just said Buckheimer, and
there you go.
I didn't realize that there was a director named Jerry Bruckheimer.
Oh my!
I did not realize that. But I already had my heart set on Terry, and then I came up with a couple other calls in season 2 that were perverted, and
he is a pervert.
I was like, what if? And originally it wasn't Terry, it was just that one call. And I was like, oh, this guy's got to be a repeat caller who every time he calls it's something pervy. And then once I established that, I came up with Terry's Armor of God. And I think I learned about the Armor of God at that point. And with Terry in my mind, I was like, he's going to change that to the strap-on of truth, the zipper mask of salvation, the fake titties of righteousness, and the high heels of peace.
You were calling out earlier in the season for people to draw pictures of Terry Buckheimer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I haven't got a single damn one.
Really? Oh.
What's up, people?
I don't draw. I mean,
well, I want they can look bad. You remember the Jesus Picture Contest in season 1?
Oh yeah.
It was just a crayon drawing. So
that's still open. I could yeah.
I
actually wanted to do that. Packard suggested it to me. He's like, they're doing a drawing contest. I was like, oh cool, I could do that. And I
did.
emailed you, and then I forgot about it.
Nice. Hey, did you get the script I sent you?
I was just checking my phone, and yes, I did.
Okay,
awesome.
Great. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's give Connie some time here. Connie, what are your questions for Nick?
Well, he already answered one of my questions, sort of. He said that you and Jesse are cousins. I was curious, how did you meet Ben? Is he a high school, college friend, or work friend, or?
He's Jesse's ex-lover. No, they're current.
You can tell.
That explains the hostility.
Yeah, I worked with him at a different factory, and I could tell that it was a welding factory, and I could tell that we didn't fit the persona of most welders.
Really?
We had personalities and could laugh.
Oh,
so we hung out with each other a lot and just started talking. And he liked to do videos, and so he just kind of got on board. And everybody at the factory thought we were gay. So these are like F-150 driving, tobacco chewing welders.
I'm familiar with that persona. Yes.
So I liked that they thought we were gay.
Well, nothing can freak a really truly redneck macho man out than thinking that somebody within their vicinity is gay and might want to proposition them. I don't know why they would think that, but they do.
Yeah.
I love it when they're
Dawkins'
just
dog had a question
looking.
too.
Okay, well, we'll get to the chat room in just a minute.
Oh, okay. I'm
But-
sorry.
No, go ahead. Just finish. Go ahead with your
Sure.
questions first.
Yeah, I think that was all I had because, like I said,
Oh.
and I was going to ask you too, and then you already said, yeah, you actually used VHS on those earlier, the first season, because I'm like, did they use VHS on this?
That's pretty amazing.
It was
actually.
awesome. I love the graininess of your video, and especially in the beginning when you have that little voiceover and it sounds all crackly, and it reminds me of, all the crummy old radio shows that I used to listen to when I was a believer, on the Baptist radio or whatever.
And I did that. We've sometimes asked in the Bible Answers world, like, who is that voice? That's not Pastor Green or anything. But I mean, it was me, and of course, we didn't have any other character in mind when I first did it. But I actually did that with something that you should never do. I plugged a set of headphones into the microphone jack and just pressed my mouth up against the right ear and just went, and now for Bible Answers, and it just sounded like shit.
It does. Spot on. It's
And these are
hilarious.
tricks that
I'm loving
kids
it.
do.
I've been actually playing catch up. I finally found your first season because it wasn't. I don't know why it didn't pop up on the YouTube channel. At
YouTube
first,
has
so.
made some weird ass changes recently, and it's hard to find
Yeah.
any content in nowadays.
Yeah, there is a playlist on there for it.
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I found it, but
So eventually I did.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So.
Did you have any other questions there, Connie?
I wish I had more. I love that you guys love Mel Brooks. It's more like comments than questions. I'm sorry. I didn't.
That's all right.
So, yeah.
What's your favorite episode?
Gosh, I thought your first video was the number one was really good. And then I loved the one I just saw where you had the question, if God took down the Tower of Babel, why doesn't he do anything about NASA? Somebody called that in. I go, that's a great question.
I've actually asked that same question here on the show.
The first few episodes were all questions that I had when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a lot of Bible research done in the first season, especially in the first half of it. It was all shit that I had already thought of when I was a kid, like where are the giant bones? We found dinosaur bones. Where are the giant bones?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
All that kind of crap. And Noah's Ark. Oh my God. That's why Noah's Ark pulled me out of religion. Noah's Ark was the first call in the first episode of the show.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you like
Genesis
Ricky Gervais's stand-up on Noah's Ark?
Yeah, I saw that. I liked that.
Yeah,
That was pretty
that's
good.
hilarious.
I can't fathom how anybody buys that story.
It's
beyond me.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's quite possibly the most mythological or fantasy story in the Old Testament. Like, all the other stuff seems kind of quasi, like, okay, there was this king and he fought these wars. But that story alone is just so outrageously unbelievable. And, people swear by it. They're like, well, no, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can even buy the talking snake and the talking donkey, but because, whatever, there's some supernatural crap going on or whatever. But, I mean, his ark wasn't even supposed to be supernatural or anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And they've proven that the fact is there's no way it would have been able to hold all those animals. I mean, there's more cockroaches and insects like that in the planet that wouldn't be able to fit on that ship anyway. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the water
Yeah.
was supposed to cover all the mountains, and I never even thought of this when I first deconverted. I didn't worry about it, and people were pointing out, said, do you realize that if the water covered Mount Everest, the tallest
Yeah.
point we wouldn't be able to breathe.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like,
They would have frozen
oh
to
my
death
gosh! And then where does the water go after? Things like that. It's it's amazing to me. But then again, most Christians will bolster it up and say, well, there's a flood myth in every single culture, blah blah blah, and there are a lot of
There's a
myths
Therefore,
about
it's
it.
and there's a lot of them out there, a lot of cultures that are just as old that have never heard of these flood myths at all.
Yeah, but
Absolutely.
but you have to say, well, are they? It's just because they're isolated and they're ancient. They didn't know. There may have been a flood, but not one that.
Unless you're
covered.
Chinese, and then in which case they defeated the flood. So
Right. Exactly.
yeah, so I'm going to take.
There's a savior myth in several religions too.
Oh
The
yes.
Jesus story is not even original.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. We're going to take a couple questions from the chat room here. Dawkins' dog asked, "Is Nick, have you faced any problems from your family or friends over your atheism?"
My mom just knows not to even bother. Because she doesn't want to alienate me or herself from me. So not really too much. They're very my family is very let's just not talk about it. Let's look the other way. So it works out well for me.
Well, that's good. At least they're not saying, "Oh, we don't have any more contact with you at all."
Right, yeah, that would be very out of place for my family. I do have kind of a logical fallacy involving that. This was a few years ago, and my sister, who's older than me, she was kind of worried about, I was wearing a belt, and it had a pentagram on it. I was just wearing it, whatever. I got it from the mall, and she was worried because of that I was going to go to hell. And so my stepdad reassures her that, oh, no, Nick believes in the Bible. This was before they knew about the atheism. He reassured her with, see, the Bible says in Psalms 14:1, a fool says in his heart there is no God. And Nick's not a fool, so therefore he believes in God. Like, what the fuck kind of logic is that?
Right.
It worked, I guess, for the time being. But yeah, everybody's still cool. And if they weren't, then I guess I would just live with it.
Yeah. Another question here we have. Oh, no, that's from Jesse. He says he was just remembered the first time he met your Pastor Green. Terrifying. More of a comment.
There is a story involved with that.
Oh, well, please
Tell
share
the
it.
story.
Please tell the story. Yes.
Jesse was working at a retail store at the time, and so me and Ben, we showed up at his retail store, and I was dressed as Pastor Green for the first time with my head shaved the way his bad hairline is. And I had a Bible with me, and I came in and completely disturbed him as he was attempting to run his cash register. and then I, at some point, he could look out the front door, and he could see me chasing B around the parking lot, waving the Bible at him. I was getting into character.
The funny thing about the Pastor Green, when I was actually involved in the Pentecostal religion for a while there, and I actually heard of a pastor by that name, Pastor Green. So it was like that name actually resonated for me when I was like, Pastor Green, holy crap! So I was. Where did you guys come up with a name for that? By the way, just out of curiosity.
Just lazy.
Okay.
Just didn't want to think too hard. I was like, Pastor Bob, Pastor Bill. He was also not going to be a major. He was just going to be, there to fill in because John was gone. And then, of course, nothing is ever... We keep thinking things are not going to come back, and then they do.
Is that why you killed him off originally? Is just because you thought, well, we're going to, just kind of make him sick?
Well, the idea of...
I like the way you made him,
Pastor Green,
die on camera. It's like, what's he died on camera. What are you going to do with his body?
that was just to kind of make a big tie-in for the whole... then there'd be an opening... and his, by the time I figured that part out, I figured out that Adam was going to be his nephew, and sometimes that shit just comes together. And then Adam took over the show, or no, Adam, he had control over the show now because he became the pastor, and then canceled it because he was bitter at John for kicking him off the show. And
I like the no one can see me. I got the green thing on me. No one can see me except for my head. And you just got this floating in. Another one that I really liked was the one. Oh well, the camera's not rolling. We can't see nothing. It's like, oh, that the thing was that I was talking about that girl. You told me to meet, and I stuck it in her butt, and she didn't like it, and the whole and it's like, oh yeah, the thing was recording the whole time. Oh,
you slowly penetrate the anus.
Yeah.
That is sound advice. I always liked the idea of the John character having kind of this mysterious background. Like when he doesn't think he's on camera, you'll hear him drop F-bombs. He almost got an N-bomb out in season 3 and got cut off.
You're
So great.
After I was mugged by those mitt.
You can't say that.
Where the fuck is my new Pastor Green picture?
I've loved kind of developing that character as we've come along. I mean, when I go back to the old episodes, from season 1, I'm like, man, I don't even know if I would write him that way again, because you just develop, it just kind of evolves, even though evolution isn't real. It happened.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you also, where did you decide to put in Ben on camera and say he's running the show and everything, and then you come up with he called it the Bible contradictions.
Bible. Yeah, that was in season 2. I'm trying to think what was. I think it might have just been to point out some contradictions, and since all John does is avoid them, I was like, well, you got to have a different host. You got to have somebody that wants to hear him. And
there you go.
Also, it was just to add maybe a little bit of variety, but also some just more humorous backstory. Like John called the show, and he's like, "Don't let anybody know I'm in jail." And I don't know why he was in jail.
I was on vacation.
I was on vacation.
Don't let anybody know I'm on vacation. And then in season 3, I like just throwing him in there so I can do some different things. So I can write some calls differently and get some points across, in a different way.
Yeah.
Packard,
yeah.
The promotional video for this episode, you said if you have any questions for Nick, post them in the comments below. We actually have a question from YouTube.
Yeah, I know they're all yours.
No, they're not all from me. This question comes from Joe and Scene from YouTube. And when John
he has your same name, Joe. I wonder how that happened.
I'm going to sue that asshole. When John Matthews first arrived in prison, did the other inmates scrape metal cups on the bars of their cells and chant, "Fish, fish, fish"?
I like to speculate what he may have done in prison.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you now. I always remember when he brought up that whole thing. It was like, oh, well, I'm going to tell the pastor what you did to me. You know, he's talking to the guy with the curly hair, and he's like, no, you can't tell him that because you'll get in trouble too. I was like, oh, that's really dark.
Yeah, I actually, okay, I don't have an answer for that. That is just kind of that's kind of the joke right there.
Uh-huh.
Now, it doesn't mean that there won't be an answer later, because I do like to go back and take things that we just said or some mysterious things and put stuff together.
I would love to see the outcome of that. I mean, maybe.
Yeah, like what the hell? I have thought of.
I thought maybe that was the reason why John was in jail to begin with. That's why he was away for so long.
Yeah, we never explained.
I know
why he was in jail that one time when Darren was on the show. He's like, "Don't let anybody know I'm in jail." That never got explained. And I've been thinking about for sometime in upcoming season 3 to have somebody actually ask that, like, you know, what was that guy or what was Adam talking about? So I don't know. We'll see. Right now, I don't know.
You know, I also liked how you progressively through the first season right at the beginning of the second season, he lost his whole family. He's like, oh, well, we've had to go and live in the shelter, and God has decided to make us live in this home with our parents and everything like this. And then, well, my wife left me, and a couple shows later, my wife's left me for some other guy. And by like the start of season 2, well, my wife was killed. You know, and he's really happy about it. That guy, woman that she left, the guy she left me for, and they all died in a car accident. And it's so the psychotic mindset is like, I'm like, oh, this is really dark.
I think, well, a lot of the times when it comes to ideas, Jesse will have an idea, and then I'll add to it, or vice versa. And for the first tragic thing to happen to John, Jesse just had an idea that something tragic would happen to him, like a kid would die, and his whole point was he liked how Christians will thank God no matter what happens. So then he prayed and he thanked him, and I was like, well, we can expand upon this, because that reminds me of the story of Job. So throughout season 1's entire story is the story of Job. John loses everything.
Okay,
and then by the 13th episode, everything's gone. His family's gone. His wife left him. And instead of being like Job, he denounces his faith. He's like, what kind of a son of a bitch would do this to a person? Talking about God. And the whole, and then he denies it in season.
Yeah, then he denied it all in season. I would never do that. Person who does that, they're just bad people.
Right. He's like, I've never been drunk.
I've never been drunk.
And when we first ended season 1, well, the first episode was just supposed to be a standalone video. Like, oh, that was funny. We're pointing out some funny things. Let's put it on YouTube and see if we piss people off. And we had fun doing it. The first episode actually wasn't even scripted. We just came up with it on the spot. We had enough fun doing it, and I started scripting them. And then was like, oh, okay, well, let's do some till it's like a season. And then did 13. It was like, all right, let's end it. So John stops being Christian. Okay, it's over. But once you get into something like that, you just keep finding more and more crazy Bible stuff. So it came back, and and of course he quickly regained his faith, because obviously it wasn't the doctors that helped him; it was God.
Of course, I've heard how many times we've heard that one a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right, do we have any other quick questions from the chat room? Anybody?
A question I thought of earlier: the phone number on the. I actually typed that into Google because I was curious. Is that a real phone number? Just something. I was like, what is this?
We played that. All right, if you don't come to the live show, and stick around for the after show. You miss out on a lot of stuff. Nick kind of joined us on the show, and we called it and we played a few moments of it on the air. So
Yes.
if you don't come to the live show, you miss out on all this extra content that you're not going to hear.
Talk in Packard's voice.
He actually loses his shirt. It's fantastic. He has electrical X's on his nipples.
Yeah.
I'll bring the Packard. You bring the Vaseline.
Do we want to let people know what that number is?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't think of what I know it's 1-800-288 hell something. Anyway, it spells out 1-800-butt-sex. And it is we just called it last week on Packard's show, and it's the same message that it was back in 2009 when I first started the show.
I didn't want them attaching to my phone number, so I used the Skype to call it since it's 800 number. So it's like, oh, we got to pull this up just to see what it says. I was like, and they're talking, and they had some woman on there like, do you want to stick something in my butt? It's like, okay.
She used the word tushy at some point.
Yeah, I think she did.
Tushy?
It was funny.
Stick your credit card in my tushy. Oh. That's perverted. I can't believe you do that.
That's funny.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions from the chat room.
Nick, I know you don't like pressure from, being forced to create and all that, but when do you think there'll be new episodes coming out?
Back off.
I know. Okay. All right, I knew I crossed the line.
We're getting ready to film our 38th episode. There's only 33 online right now, so
Oh, so you have some
we've
in the queue, and they're just waiting to come out.
They're not even in that. They're just on my computer. But I have watched them. Episode 34, 35, 36, and 37. They're great.
Nice.
Just want to rub that in. I'm thinking I would really like to have it. Originally, I wanted to have them out in November, starting in November. But God, that's coming up. I just want to make sure that all 7 are done before I do start. I'm really thinking realistically, December. Kind of hoping to maybe make it like a part of the whole Christmas season type thing. Here's your present
that's an
from
idea.
Coast to coast.
Christmas and Easter are great times on the internet for atheists because we get to be obnoxious.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, fantastic.
And we do it so well, Joe.
Yes, we do.
I know.
Because we're all on Oreos. Playing our PS4.
And there's a full circle cookie. Come
Yes,
back to the beginning.
right back around.
come right all the way back to the beginning. But anyway. All right. Well, I don't see we're getting any more questions from the chat room, so we're going to cut it out from here. But I want to thank everybody for coming out. Especially thank you to Nick for joining us here on the show tonight. And, of course, we're welcome to come back anytime. And, of course, come and join us in the chat room. Oh, yeah. We love to have fun. And if you want to get in contact with us, or if you would like to make a donation to the show, the address is right here at the bottom. It says patreon.com/Packard Pokes At. And if you would like to go and make a donation, if you donate $50, you get a free hat. You donate $100, you get a free T-shirt. And if you donate $200, you get a free sweatshirt. And that would really help me out, help keep the lights on here and keep the internet flowing and all that nice stuff. And then you get also a nice little gift on top of it. So your donation helps me, and then you get something back for it. So, but in the meantime, if you would like to get in contact with us, we're going to give you all that information right here, right now.
Would you like to contact us? We can be reached 28 hours a day, 8 days a week as Packard Pokes At on Twitter and by email at packardpokesat@gmail.com. Your host, Packard Sonic, and his very honored and crazy co-hosts with occasional guest hosts who enjoy your comments or suggestions. You can also listen to the show on iTunes, YouTube, Mixler Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Click the like button on Facebook/Packard Pokes At to join in the conversation. While you're there, don't forget to snap on the Focus on Photography group. Please rate, comment, subscribe, retweet, and repost the show wherever you can. It really helps us out. Please donate whatever you can afford to help keep the show running. Visit packardpokesat.wordpress.com for more information on this or any other episode. We hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening and for your support.
And thank you, Joe, for that great middle piece there. You do that so well every time. You hit that mark every time. I'm kidding, everybody. That's a recording.
Oh, you. You shouldn't lie like that. That's against the Bible.
It's magic.
It's magic.
Packard, I have a question.
Go ahead.
You think it'd be okay if I stuck a bat at my butt?
Whatever trips you trigger.
All right, I'm going to go stick a bat at my butt. See ya.
As long as you make sure you clip the wings properly before you do that. Otherwise, he might bite you.
As long as it's had all of its shots.
Nick, you should get Connie to do a couple clips too, because I think she'd really be really great for your show.
Sounds like it'd be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Email
That's a
me
fun
at
show.
coast@ymail.com if you want to be a caller.
There you go. Yeah,
Yay.
there you go. And if anybody else out there would like to give him a shout out and you want to be maybe a voice for a show, just send him an email. But anyway, we got to get out of here. I want to thank everybody for coming, and again, thank you, Nick, for joining us here on the show. So until next time, this has been Packard Pokes At. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.